Hello, family. I'm Janae Future Khan, and this is Dark Woke. Just before we hit it, I want to say thank you to all the listeners out there, and a special shout out to the supporters that make this show possible. It truly means the world to me. If you'd like to become a member, our Patreon will be linked in the episode right up below. Babies, welcome to the United States of Arabia. That's what we are. That's what Donald Trump has made us. That's what our greatest philosophers, isn't that what modern day comedian, well, specifically dudes, right? We're the philosophers of our time, as if philosophers aren't currently teaching in professional and educational settings, as if they're not writing new discourse and language and analysis and studying the greats and not just watching a 30-second fucking now this video or something. Actually, and I'm not cranking on now this. I love those hosts. But you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not, well, I listened to Jordan Peterson talk about Aristotle for 35 minutes, and now I've decided that niggas love to pretend that they're philosophers. I don't know what that is. Because there's something that you have to be in order to be into philosophy. This is going to shock a lot of my nignogs out there, a lot of my man friends. It's called curious. You have to be curious. You have to be curious. It's not just about you having something to say. I know it's a shocking thing. And also, you saying or thinking something is not inherently philosophy. But you know what? Maybe in the United States of Arabia, that is true. We are unhinged this episode. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Nicki Minaj presenting at the UN. What happens when Nick Fuentes makes sense, right? Somehow I'm going to tie that in with an Obama speechwriter who was talking about anti-Semitism, makes this pretty solid argument, and then somehow completely comes to the wrong fucking conclusion about what we need to do about Israel. Somehow that's going to tie into Andrew Schultz on racism in 2024. Oh, we're unhinged. But before we get into all the good stuff, yes, we are going to do a test. I came across this test. And it's in the New York Mag. You have to have a subscription. So we're all doing this together. It says, are you smarter than an 8th grader in 1899? I got to know, especially because I'm not even from here. So I am going to be bringing in Corey, who's going to help, because I can't be humiliated. I can be embarrassed, but I can't be humiliated. But the other thing is, I can be as humiliated as I can be canceled, which is I can't. I just can't. I can't. But are we taking this test together, all of us? Oh, yeah. Right before that, I just do want to give a very quick Epstein update. Of course, Senate voted like 427 to 1, right? To release the files. They're doing exactly what I anticipated, which is this, that's, thank goodness that comes from the experts, right? But I think anyone with half a brain could have figured that out, that they're just going to use the premise of investigation to scrub Republican names from it. Do you know what's so funny? Do you know what's so stupid about that? This is the base of conspiracy. And by the way, I'm all up in that now. I'm like, because they're all true. They're all true. United States of Saudi Arabia. But for the things like, you don't need to stretch for conspiracy because things that are happening are so absurd and corrupt that they might as well be. They may as well be. But here's the thing. Who's that one guy? Right? They voted 427 to 1. Who's the guy? Who is that fucking freak, right? Anyway, there's something I forgot to mention, though. Of course, this went to a vote. I think some of you might have already known. It's so important to remind us, right? This is a president that has abused executive power, to say the least. For sure, he could have just released them himself. That's actually within Donald Trump's purview. Right? A word that he'd be like, that's purview, cat's purr, view, window, a cat looking out of a window. And then he'd say, I like cats. I mean, I don't really like cats. I like the way they feel. That poop and McDonald's. What about McDonald's? Like nobody's talking about that. The fact that this guy, I should say, no one's talking about it enough. The guy's nuts. But anyway, he could have released them himself. He could have released every file with every name, but that's not what they're going to do. And for a base, your entire base loves a conspiracy. You ran on this as part of your campaign that you're going to stop the corruption and the cabal. And if you give them less then everything, oh, they're going to come after. You're going to do the job for us, not before you pillage and destroy any public good in America, which is why we have to fight tooth and nail. But sometimes evil takes care of itself. Sometimes, more often than not, though, we got to be the ones fighting. So before we jump into some of the blah, right, and how America, the Trump administration is just honestly one gigantic lol cow. For my folks who are not chronically online, lol cow, just hear LOL, right? Laugh out loud. Lol cow is somebody who just constantly like farms for jokes. He's trying to create jokes, is a joke. There's a lot of semi-interpretations for it. But yeah, when you got a lol cow calling a woman reporter piggy for asking you about the Epstein stuff, you're really not conveying confidence, buddy. You're not. He's big mad. This was mismanaged. Economic strife is going to make it worse. We're seeing unions across political lines, like in Kana and Massey. I think that's something that could grow. We'll see. I do want to mention, I always want to remind folks that Massey is he's a nationalist, very much so. And yet there's this thing that's brewing. But before we get into my unhinged yap, and honestly, I think that's just the vibe, right? My nose is going red for no reason. I want to know, am I smarter than an 8th grader in America, 1899, right? Like, are any of us anymore? What's going to happen to our public education system? Okay, Corey, will you do this with me?
Yeah, I'll facilitate the quiz. The answer is no, by the way. No, I just don't think we are. But I'm open to be proven wrong. I can read the questions, and then you can just talk through and maybe sort of do process of elimination. There
Okay.
are 14 questions, and then at the end, we'll be presented a score, which will let us know whether or not you are smarter than an 8th grader in 1899.
Okay. And this is
Uh,
for all of us. We're all doing this together so that if I'm not, then we all aren't. Okay. Great. Okay.
Question number 1. Why were states admitted into pairs for some of the early part of our history? The first option is to balance the Whig and Democrat controlled states, to balance the slaveholding and non slaveholding states, to balance the populated East and the frontier West, or so that the Senate would not deadlock.
Those are the 4 options.
Yes.
Slaveholding and non-slaveholding states.
Okay, so you're choosing to balance the slaveholding and non slaveholding states.
Yeah. That's why the states were admitted in pairs.
Okay. Correct.
Do you know what's wild to me? We're doing a test on whether or not you're smarter than an 8th grader in 1899. And now in 2025, right? You can't even talk about slavery. They asked a question here. This is based on education that was given to children in the 8th grade when at a time when most people's education did not go past 8th grade. This is 1899. Okay. Very dirty legs in this era. Dirty, talking grimy legs in this era. I know that those frontier whites were not scrubbing. It is wild to me that they were more honest about slavery happening in America in 1899 as average 8th graders. These tests were obviously, right, the educational system is going to be overwhelmingly white. Kids that are doing this, they could talk about this, and in 2025, we can't. How humiliating. How fucking embarrassing to watch America in decline as we speak. But I apologies. This is not America anymore. This is the United States of Arabia. That's where we live now. My apologies. Thanks, Donald Trump, for that. Carry on.
Question
So we got it
2.
right.
We got it
Wait,
right.
I didn't get to read their explanation.
I'll read it.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
There it is. If you scroll down a little bit more, I'd like to read the answer because it makes me feel affirmed. It's got to go down, Corey, because I can't see it.
Oh, I see.
Thank you. It's probably up for you. For much of the 19th century, the U.S. had an equal number of states where slavery was legal and illegal. Neither the northern nor southern states wanted to cede power of their bloc. Quebecois. Okay, go on.
Question number 2. In music, what is meant by common time? 4/4, the downbeat, harmony, or the number of measures before a repeat?
I don't fucking know. Okay, wait. Okay. The downbeat sounds like a stupid podcast. So no. Harmony sounds like a dating app. The number, so it's either, I'm going to say it's either 4/4, the number of measures for a beat. It's 4/4. It's 4/4. It's A.
Correct.
Ah, yes. Okay, great.
The time signature of 4/4 is often called common time because it is the most prevalent time signature in Western music.
It is, that I knew.
Yeah, it's like, it's common in house terms for like the drum beat speed on 4/4.
I know nothing
knew
about
that.
music.
All right,
Nothing.
next question.
Except for what sounds good. Okay.
Okay. There's a little trivia at the top. Next
give
are
it.
2 questions from a 1912 8th grade examination for Bullitt County schools in rural Kentucky. At the time, the county had a population of about 9,400 people, 1,782 of whom were children in school. State laws newly required each county to have a high school. Around 12% of Kentuckians over the age of 10 were illiterate. It's the same today. All right, question number 3. Through which of the following bodies of water would a vessel pass going from England through the Suez Canal to Manila? The Baltic Sea, the Black Sea, the Caspian Sea, or the Red Sea?
The Red Sea.
Okay. Correct.
Yes, fuck yes.
The Suez Canal connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. Why do you? I didn't even know that. That's crazy. And I was born here.
I was looking at some of these fucking trade routes from back in the day a while ago. It was like, I think it was just a rabbit hole thing. But I was like, because these routes are still, like a lot of the routes from back in the day are still used, which I didn't understand. Okay.
Next question. Question number 4. In the election of a president and vice president, how many electoral votes is each state allowed? The number of counties in the state's numbers of senators, the state's number of congressional districts, or the total number of Congress people the state has?
Fuck, I wasn't raised in America. God damn it. But hold on, process of elimination, what do you know? The total number of counties, the number of senators, it's not that, the number of... Okay, the state's number of congressional districts. Wait, what do you think, Corey? I think it's that one, but I don't know.
The first thing that I thought was the last one, the total number of Congress people the state has, but I don't feel like that's right.
I think it's the state's number of congressional districts.
Okay, let's see. Final answer?
Because that's essentially what we're all trying to grab now.
Okay.
Yes, final answer.
Okay. Wrong. The number
it
of
was the total number. Shit, you were right.
I something in my brain. So
yes, you cast doubt. You cast doubt. You have to say assertively. It's this. This is such a miss for me, but also just like I hate that sometimes. I'm like, if I was from here, would I know or would I still get it wrong? And I don't know because the education system here is so uneven that I don't know. I don't know that I would have been smart enough to get that one. Okay. So I am annoyed. I hate getting things wrong.
The number of presidential electors each state receives is equal to the number of congressional districts in that state.
Why didn't I know that? Determined by population, but never less than 1 plus the number of senators. Always. I should know this. I think I've made I should know this. Okay.
Next question. I'm happy that I got that right. No shade.
You know what though? You didn't. I asked for help and then you were like, it's telling me this, but I don't know. You needed to help us.
No, do not try to flip this on me.
How am I flipping it on you? I'm saying I want, just say that just give it to me straight. No chaser. Just give it to me straight.
Well, I was unsure. So I was like, I don't know. You may be right. You've been right, 3 times before? I was like, yeah.
You know what though? false confidence. We should not trust me. You know what I mean? We should not trust me. I am not a smart. Okay, let's go on. No, no, no.
Okay. Number 5. Oh, here's a little tidbit at the top.
No, we can't. No,
Okay, great.
nix it. It's taking me out of the thing.
Okay, great. Question 5. Assume the premises to be true and unquestioned and judge the conclusion in relation to them.
Okay.
Premise. Some rapid walkers fatigue quickly. James is a rapid walker. Conclusion. James fatigues quickly. Now, is this necessarily true? Necessarily false? Probably true? Probably false? Or undetermined?
Well, actually, maybe let's both put our necks out.
Okay.
I'm going to say, based on the process of elimination and just logic, it's undetermined.
Undetermined. I was going to say necessarily true.
I get it. Okay, because let's talk this through for a second.
Yep.
Some rapid walkers fatigue quickly. And then it says James is a rapid walker. And the conclusion is James fatigues quickly. And then I can see the probably true or the
Probably
necessarily true
Yeah.
being a thing. But yeah, I'm based on logic. I'm going to say undetermined.
Okay, you're going to say
You're going to say undetermined. You're going to say necessarily true.
I'm going to amend. I'm going to say probably true just because of the some rapid walkers fatigue quickly, right?
Got it.
Okay, so let's see. You're choosing undetermined. Let's see what the answer is. Correct! Knowing someone is a rapid walker tells us only that it's possible that they fatigue quickly, not that they definitely or even probably do.
You see, this is some like fucking LSAT bullshit.
Totally.
That's how they get you.
I got a
That's how
SAT
they
based
get
on
you.
my LSATs, by the way.
I never took one.
They are humiliating. First of all, you take them Saturdays early in the morning. Who the fuck under 18 wants to do that?
Wait. Are you talking about SATs? I'm talking about the legal one,
Oops.
the law one. But yeah, we don't. So our standardized testing, it happens at like 3rd grade. And then we have
What?
another one in Canada called the literacy test, which happens in the 10th grade. And that's like you wouldn't need a test to get into post-secondary education because the educational system is even enough. Like, why would you need that?
In
Like,
America, every time somebody sneezes, there's a goddamn standardized test.
no, literally. I was like, this is wild to me.
That's crazy.
No,
Oh.
it's wild. It's like when I came here and I was like, why would I need to take a test to apply for post-secondary? Like, look what I've been through. You know,
Yeah.
look what, and even then, the literacy test, for example, isn't something that impacts, like, you're not going to get thrust out of the education system or you're not going to get denied something for it. It is to gauge the extent to which the educational system is functioning. You know, I think obviously there's tiers. Like we have in high school, you have different tracks.
Right.
So there's academic, and that would take you to university, and applied would take you to college. In Canada, our college is, I guess, the equivalent of America's technical schools.
Right.
So in Canada, in college, you can't get a degree. You can get an advanced diploma. Only in universities can you get a degree or a bachelor degree. And there's also like joint programs and stuff. So here's what's interesting. And I don't know if you guys do this here, but like I was very weak in math, probably not as weak as I made myself out to be, because I was like, we broke up. Like, we're done. I don't want to see you again. So I was in applied math for post grade 10 because I was not doing well. I was in applied math, but everything else was academic track. And so, you know, I went on and eventually would apply to university with some, you know, da-da-da-da-da. It's harder when you're like all poor and shit. Sure. But yeah, I got into university. But if I was applied across the board, I would not have been able to apply to university without upgrading my courses. Like, for example, my friend, he's a nurse. And so he's been, I think it's called an RPN or something. So he had an advanced diploma, and they get paid less than a registered nurse. So he had to, even though he's like in his 30s, and kudos to him, because I think this is good for everybody. You know, even with all of his world experience, because he'd been working as a nurse for like a decade. In his 30s, he had to take high school courses again, upgrade his sciences and stuff to academic, and then had to pursue a degree in order to be a registered nurse. So it's like, it's very specific.
Jeez.
You know, yeah. Like there's just more infrastructure in education.
At that point, I would have been like, let me just carry some Band-Aids. This fucking, to get to where I need to be is too much.
No, and like I was so impressed too, because I'm just like, but that's what it takes. Like, you know, it's worth it. But you know, it sucks when you have to. Can you imagine being around like high schoolers?
Can
I think
imagine?
you could do that stuff online though, mostly, or some of it at least. Ugh. Yeah.
All right. Number 6.
Next question.
Yeah. Which one of the 6 statements below tells the meaning of the following proverb? The burnt child dreads the fire. Is it? That's kind of fucked up.
Isn't it?
It's crazy. Is it frivolity flourishes when authority is absent? Unhappy experiences teach us to be careful. A thing must be tried before we know its value. A meal is judged by the dessert. Small animals never play in the presence of large ones, or children suffer more from heat than grown people.
It's, to me, unhappy experiences teach us to be careful.
Right, because like you don't want to get burned again.
None of the other things even make any fucking sense.
I like a
I'm
meal
like, what
that's
are we
judged by the
doing?
dessert. The meal that's judged by the dessert, that's cute. All right. Unhappy experiences teach us to be careful. Correct!
It was the only logical conclusion.
Totally.
I can't believe I got wrong the one question I should have got right. Like, how is it that I'm getting the Red Sea and I'm not answering? You know what? We gotta just keep going. I can't believe I should not be listened to about anything, apparently, unless it's inane.
Mm-hmm.
If it's inane, I'm good. But if it's about politics, I'm out. I'm fucking out.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, fuck me.
No,
I said I was
one.
shit at math, and what do we have?
You just said math.
You know what though? I wouldn't. I don't mind the trivia after. It's just I want to get straight to the questions. But if the trivia is interesting from the other one, I'm game. I got to keep my game face on. All right, let's do this.
All right. Question number 7. You are a cashier in a cafeteria. A customer's bill comes to $3.48 with tax. He gives you a $10 bill. Which of the following would be his change?
God damn it.
$7, 4 dimes, 1 nickel, 3 pennies. $6, 2 quarters, 2 pennies. $7, 2 quarters, 2 pennies. Or $6, 4 dimes, 1 nickel, 3 pennies. Now, Future, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm abstaining. I plead the fifth. I'm not about to embarrass myself.
348. Okay. I know it's not 7 because that doesn't make any sense.
Let me open my calculator. Hold on. Let me see.
And then so 4 dimes, 1 nickel. That's too much. It's $6, 2 quarters, and 2 pennies. That is the easiest. That's the easy. It's got to be that one. It's got to be, unless it's, hold on, 4 dimes, 1 nickel, and 3. No, that math is wrong. It's $6, 2 quarters, and 2 pennies.
And
it can't be anything else.
Correct.
Okay. I'm like, it literally can't be anything else.
You know what got me? The 348 with tax. I'm like, oh, is tax already included, or are we supposed to calculate additional?
Okay, no, but that's the shit they trip you up with. But I just knew it couldn't be 7. I know that.
Totally. Okay, here we go. Next. Question number 8. One must use credit to have a good credit rating. A good way to keep a satisfactory rating is borrow money from friends.
Definitely that one. No, go on, stupid.
Make a budget to avoid using credit. Pay your bills promptly. Pay cash for everything you buy, or none of the above. To keep a satisfactory rating.
It's pay your bills promptly. You know, I hate this. America is wild with its credit system. It's wild, but it's got oh, wait. What if it's none of the above? Hold on. When is this keep satisfactory?
Because satisfactory, right? Not good credit.
Yeah, you pay your bills promptly.
Okay.
Wait. Wait. Make a budget to avoid using credit. Pay cash for everything you buy. Because that's not building credit. Definitely
Right.
not borrowing money from. It's make a budget to avoid using credit. No, you need to use the credit. It's got to be It's either pay your bills promptly or none of the above. And paying your bills promptly feels like logic. Okay, I'm just gonna say pay your bills promptly.
Okay. The answer is correct. Pay your bills promptly. All right, next question. I hate these fucking dirty games they play with choosing specific words in the fucking question. I hate that.
I know.
That was all the SATs was, by the way. Okay.
That's honestly the LSAT. They just get you in a bunch of you have to know shit. It's so funny. It's like, why have I referenced it twice? I haven't taken it, but I have friends who've taken it, and then I would help.
Totally.
And it's honestly, it's the application of logic, and it's a very rigid, stupid way of thinking personally. And it's what a lot of people pride themselves on. I'm like, that's why you're unhappy. You're literally unhappy for that reason. Sorry, go on.
Question number 9. 10 people meet and everybody shakes hands exactly once with everybody else. What is the total number of handshakes?
Fuck. Okay. What? Well, are you going to tell us the options?
Oh, sorry. My God. 9. The answers are, or the options are 9, 10, 45, 50, or 90.
Oh, fuck me. Okay. Say the question again.
10 people meet and everybody shakes hands exactly once with everyone else. What is the total number of handshakes?
Okay. I'm actually going to do some math here. I hope I'm not fucked. So the options are 9, 10, 45, 50. You shake hands with one hand, and everybody shakes hands with everybody else exactly once. 10 people. Okay. I can't. Okay. Everybody shakes hands at exactly one time. What are the total number of handshakes? What is the total number of handshakes? Okay. 45.
45.
Wait, what do you think?
My guess was if everybody is shaking hands with everybody at least one time and you can't shake hands with yourself, wouldn't that be 90?
Okay. Fuck. But it's the one person shakes and that one person does it with everyone, and then the second person, the way that this is the bullshit logic thing, but I might, okay, you know what, just hit 45.
45. Okay, let's see. Answer correct.
Okay,
It takes
that's
9
it. I knew it.
handshakes.
We have to read the explanation.
Yeah.
It's this logic shit.
It takes 9 handshakes for the first person to shake everyone's hands. Then the second person shakes everyone else's hand in 8 shakes. Remember, the second person already shook the first hand. The third person shakes everyone else's hand in 7 shakes, and so on. So we can represent that as 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 45. I hate this.
I hate that. Like, I honestly can't even explain. Like, the 9 handshakes of the first person to shake everyone's hand, then the second person shakes everyone's hand in 8 shakes, because that person, I hate, and it's like you can intuit it, but if you ask me to explain it like this as 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6, I'm like, no, I just know that my initial inclination was 50,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, you're always wrong. So shave off the nearest and then the negative, because it's one less every time. But like, if you asked me to do the math for you, I could not. I literally could not.
I chose 90 because that number's pretty.
That's honestly, and listen, I was gonna, like, if you had asked me this before, I would have said 9. Like, before I participated on the periphery of like friends LSATs, I would have been like, 9 people, obviously. 9 handshakes, 9.
All right, we're 4 questions away from being done. Question number 10. Choose the word nearest the opposite meaning of turgid. Strong, glossy, deflated, easily described, or haphazardly distributed.
Glossy.
Glossy.
Oh shit, deflated. I was gonna say fucking. Oh no, sorry, I didn't fucking mean that. It's deflated, isn't it?
Deflated,
I don't
yes.
know why I did that. I knew it was fucking deflated. Sorry, did you pick up on the fact that I said it and then immediately right before it said it was
Totally.
wrong, caught it? I
Yes.
don't know why I did that.
Maybe I'll wait until you say final answer, honestly.
Yeah, I think I was like glossy is funny and I just fucking it's like what the fuck are we doing here? Okay, keep going. I'm gonna have to take that L. I'm pissed off about that.
Many of the writers of the quote lost generation, such as F. Scott Fitzgerald, wrote in books that they criticized what they regarded as the shallow materialism of the United States during the 1920s, sought to capture the freedom experienced by people living on the Western frontier,
Uh-huh.
praised the quick-paced and unique opportunities found in large cities in the U.S., expressed deep yearning for what they regarded as the simple lives led by rural Americans. Now, I know the answer to this.
I also know it's A.
It's A. Definitely A. Final answer, let's see. Correct. The Lost
Imagine
Generation
if we were
describes.
both wrong. How embarrassing would that
Imagine.
be?
No, I would go home. No, yeah, I really like The Great Gatsby because it gave like chaotic bisexual to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? Your logic is better than mine. I'm still like bruised over the fact that for whatever reason I said the word glossy when I meant deflated.
Uh-huh. But that was the
Like,
old you.
oh, so stressed out. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
question number 12. Figure one, oh God, there's a figure. Okay.
there's a figure. Hold on, let me look at it. I have to like see it. Okay. No one's gonna be able to really participate in this one then. Log phase, stationary phase. So we got a graph and it has in figure one, you got your X and your Y, your cell numbers, bacteria by milliliter, and your time by hours. Oh, fuck off. Okay. Let's just go.
The question
Jesus.
figure one shows what happens after a population of bacteria is transferred to a new growth medium. The bacterial population increases most rapidly during which of the following phases? The lag phase, the log phase, the stationary phase, or the death phase?
Go back up. Okay. Um, and the question is, just go down. The bacteria population increases the most. My face is blocking out, so I can't read it. Here we go. It's blocking it again. If you
Oh,
Nope, that's too high. Got to go lower. Thank you. The bacterial population increases most rapidly during which of the following phases? And I'm looking at this. Oh, it's the log phase.
okay.
Do you have a thought?
I don't. Head empty. But it does on this chart. It is increasing during the log phase. So I mean, what else are we to glean from that?
It's the log phase. It's got to be the log phase.
Final answer.
Yeah.
Hello, ho. Oh, correct.
Okay, good.
I don't know why it's not the graphics not showing, but
Isn't that so weird? It usually tells
crazy.
us, it gives us a little something.
Oh
I don't
God,
know.
another one. Jesus Christ. The same graph.
Oh, okay.
The question is, which of the following hypotheses about bacterial populations is supported by the data presented in figure 1 above? Bacterial populations change at a constant rate throughout all the growth phases. Bacteria begin to increase immediately after transfer to a new growth medium. Bacteria begin to decrease immediately after transfer to a new growth medium, or bacteria require a period of adjustment before they begin to reproduce in a new growth medium.
Which of the following hypotheses about bacterial populations is supported by the data presented in figure one? Okay. I'm going to say, can you scroll down for a second? Okay. I'm going to say, based on what I'm seeing, which is supported by bacteria require a period of adjustment before they begin to reproduce in a new growth medium. Please be fucking right.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank God.
That's crazy. The way that I had no fucking answer, I'm like, great, you got it. All right, last question. An article states that vertical farming was a fanciful notion only a few years ago. This means that many people thought vertical farming would require creative thinking, be unlikely to happen, involve expensive machinery, or cause food prices to rise.
Let me read the question again. But like, can you scroll down so that I can read it myself? Yeah. An article states that vertical farming was a fanciful notion only a few years ago. This means that many people thought vertical farming. So it's based on that quote. It was a quote there. So the quote is fanciful notion only a few years ago. End quote. Be unlikely to happen.
Final answer?
Wait. Yes. Based on that quote, yes. Be unlikely to happen.
Correct. Now, I think we're going to find out if you are, in fact, smarter.
I think that one I got wrong was like a dagger.
Okay, let's see.
Fuck.
Drum roll, please.
Okay.
Congrats. You'd be smart at any point in American history.
Be 13. I'm so furious. I got things right that I can't even explain to you how I got right. And the one thing that was like, what's the closest thing to this word? And I read. I read and it's turgid. And I said glossy out loud when I meant deflated. That's not a thing that happens. Okay. That was actually fun. We need to have more of this. That was a lot of fun. Everything is trash right now. And I don't say that in a way that's like, give up. Why? What's the point of giving up? What is accomplished in giving up? Because like, what are you giving up on? Self. Yeah, no, we can't do that. So, but sometimes things are unhinged enough that you gotta cool it a little bit. I'm gonna say cool it. I just mean everything is as bad or worse as we think, and actually, that's pretty much on track with American cycles and also just with human trends. It is so annoying. It is so annoying. Okay, do you remember like an Attack on Titan? You guys remember an Attack on Titan where at the very end, right? Like, first of all, stunning anime. But just in case any of you haven't seen it, I'm not going to like tell you anything other than go fucking watch it. Go watch it. But in the end, in the very end, in the credits scene, right? You have somebody who's standing there, which is at first someone that we know, right? Mikasa. But then and then you just see like basically civilizations, you know, just in the distance, right? Crumble, then build themselves up, then technologize and industrialize in like stunning ways, right? And you can show that really easily in the background, you know, buildings and different kinds of flying technologies, whatever. And then it's gone again. And you know, we kind of work that way. But did I think that I was going to watch America transition to the Middle East? No. I didn't see that one coming. I really didn't see that one coming. I think the thing that is really disgusting to me outside of the obvious corruption and, you know, the regime plays, etc., is that so much of the animus between America and Saudi Arabia has been America's meddling in the Middle East and its position with Israel. Obviously, there's deeper things, right? There's worldview, world philosophy, there's the religious undertones, but it's always economic. It's always economic. America has stood as a superpower in the world because it has taken the resources from other places, right? So that I can have apples all the days throughout the year. And to not understand that and how we, you know, benefit from that, I think is very silly. But so much of why Saudi Arabia has used its, you know, justification for animus towards the United States, outside of its hypocrisy, has been its treatment of Palestinians. So to see now Donald Trump saying, you know, we're going to develop Gaza, I'm going to be the king of Palestine, you know, as in they're going to love me, knowing that Palestinians are not going to benefit from this at all, knowing that. And so what I'm most interested in is the tensions, if any at all, So, like, this is something that we should be watching out for between Trump's relationship to Netanyahu and to the Saudi prince and to Saudi Arabia in general. I'm curious if that's going to lead to tension. Now, here's the thing. If enough money greases enough palms, no one's going to care about Palestinians or about what's right or their religion or anything else. And I think we're trending towards that direction, and it's pretty loathsome. I think there's a space in terms of shoring up our power, and considering we've seen Donald Trump now fold when enough people take a position, funding Israel, right? Funding Israel, which is what America does. America pays the bills of Israel while its own people struggle and starve. And the majority of people, A, are against that, and B, are against the apartheid regime, at least in certainly its practices. If enough people were to champion that and create a wedge, and I want to be clear because we've done that part, in terms of people on the streets, but where there's I think an opportunity here is destabilizing the apartheid coalition, which we have called the Zionist lobby, so the apartheid lobby, the Israeli apartheid lobby in America. And that is something, unfortunately, that is horseshoe. Why do I always say shoehorn? It's horseshoe, where the right and the left in the extreme senses, and again, the extreme left, which I don't agree with that terminology because of what it implies, but I want to be really clear. The extreme left is like free education, right? Free healthcare, housing, clean water, and food are human rights. Equal opportunity is a human right. It's also just about human dignity, whereas extremism on the right is women are cum gutters that don't exist for anything other than procreation, and even then, black people are baboons and should be slaves. Muslims are jihadists. Like, that's what, and, white supremacist states. What makes me laugh is, sorry, just allow this tangent, okay? Just hear me out for a second, right? Because as the president that a lot of the people who claim to want and fight for Western culture completely destroys what has been commonly understood to be Western culture, right? What you're also hearing is, we want to go back to how things were, right? The right loves saying that. We want to go back to how things were. What about, black people didn't know how to be there for themselves, so we invented slavery. Women were hysterical, so we had to take away their rights, right? So we got to go back to when people knew their place. Here's what makes me laugh. These white niggas was never happy. White people, white men, were never happy during any of these eras. Why? Right? Like, let me ask you this. If everybody was winning, why were every right that we have, every change that we've seen in America could not have happened without the active participation of white men in particular, right? It couldn't have happened. These, like, you literally, like, we're the leaders, we're natural born leaders, we're the champions. Okay, so yeah, you made the rules, and then enough of you were unhappy with the outcomes that you changed those rules. Because it couldn't have happened without your buy-in. Here's the other thing that bothers me, right? In addition to the fact that you're watching the president that you voted for, that was supposed to be America first, turn America into the United States of Arabia, right? And give up any national identity for Israeli interests, which is hilarious, that contradiction, right? And you say, women need to know their place. Cool. So you all just grew up in happy households? Women working is really a millennial thing, like the extent to which they were. The majority of people were growing up, right? Gen X onward were growing up with the father or the male whatever being the primary breadwinner. So everybody was just growing up in happy households? No, your fathers were fucking miserable. They were emotionally unavailable. They came home and they were furious about how everything, women need to go back to raising kids. Your parents weren't happy. Their parents weren't happy. Everybody was fucking miserable. Can we please be so fucking serious? Right? You said, okay, the house isn't clean enough. The kids are bothering me. You don't do anything. Okay, so women went and got jobs that you all voted to make happen. Right? Then they got the job. Now you're like, okay, well, now you don't want me. First of all you need to bag a baddie is a fucking personality. Like, how is that fly? Like, why is that not landing? You need a personality. All these poor, sad boys. And by the way, everybody's fucking sad right now. But, you got all these sad boys that sit there and listen to Jordan Peterson, sit there and listen to Andrew Tate, sit there and listen to Joe Rogan. And and my thing is this, like, you're protecting a philosophy or a worldview. Is it making you happy? Are you happy? And if the logic is, well, no, but it's because of women and immigrants or whatever. Okay, but it wasn't back then. Were your fathers happy? I'm pretty sure they fucking weren't. I've been in enough comedy clubs. I know enough white boys. Your parents sucked. Your mom was miserable and your fucking dad was miserable. So it's not really about that, is it? Right? Because it was really drilled down. You got to have 2.5 kids, right? At some point, we're going to stop looking for the scapegoat, the red herring. Right? At some point, you got to stop taking the bait. Because here's the thing. You're just unhappy, and none of these places in the manosphere are about addressing your unhappiness. There's a vested interest in keeping you unhappy. You're not unhappy because of immigrants. You're unhappy because you're taking too much fucking Adderall and your dopamine and serotonin receptors are at low. You just have these awful streamers playing nonstop and YouTube videos of people who are just equally upset but are invested in creating spectacle and scapegoats so that you stay angry because they make money off of that. And then in the nighttime, you're sad. You've played chess.com all day with Adderall. And by 9 p.m., you're an incel. Like, I don't know. Like, do you not deserve better than that? I got into this huge argument with my brother, right? And it was around his unkindness. He was not kind to my sister. And there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I can tolerate, right? But you can't be unkind to my sister. We have a serious fucking problem with that. And, she'd just given birth. And he didn't grab her some water when he was in the kitchen. And basically, when I said, "Can you grab her some water?" he said no. So when he came back, I said, what am I missing? You got to go to that place first, not what the fuck is wrong with you, but what am I missing? Maybe I'm missing something. So I said, I have been observing unkindness in you and a lot of, how you've been treating people, specifically Raina and myself. But I use the one incident because it's very important to localize a thing. People can't respond to indictments and a list of, of laments. You need to keep it local so that people can respond to it in real time. So I said, I've been observing kindness and this is why. And, he got really upset and he started, my feelings. And this is how a lot of these guys are listening to other men tell them why they're upset by blaming other people. Right? Like, unhappiness, first of all, is just a part of life. We're not happy all the time. Then happiness wouldn't really exist. But when your bad days are so much more than any good ones or even decent ones, yeah, there's a serious problem. And I do think that most people in the West, right, are trained to blame other people for your unhappiness. And I have some rules, right? And then I'm just going to go back to my brother. when my mind is straying, when I find that, I'm trying to concentrate or do something or whatever, and my mind strays to petty grievances, I'm avoiding something that I need to focus on. And it's not something's wrong with my brain. It's actually just self-protection. It's like this problem, like it's usually a writing. I want to be clear. I'm usually avoiding writing the fucking book. There's a lot of, rewrites, a lot of editing, a lot of adjustments that has to be made once like the bulk of a manuscript is done. And so when my brain is wandering towards petty grievances that typically, I notice a lot of things. I don't care about a lot of things because they're stupid. So if I'm going to that, it's because it is a problem that makes me feel righteous, which makes me feel powerful, right? Because my brain can't and doesn't want to deal with this larger thing, which is what are my emotional obstacles that are precluding me from writing well? What are my fears? What are my obsessions? I have a problem with vulnerability. It makes me anxious to talk about certain parts of my life, not, for reasons that render me inarticulate. I'm not even entirely sure anymore, right? So because that's too big, because it's something I'm going to have to work on probably for the rest of my life. And it's not really about the writing. It's so much as it is, the vulnerability. I know that I'm avoiding something. So I don't spend time there. It is unsatisfying to me. My conditions, it's the conditions that I'm creating in my life. So when my brother started to weaponize a lot of the language that he's used, and how his feelings were paramount, and because he felt hurt by my question, and he did the thing where he tried to make himself really, really big. He sat on the edge of the couch and, put his hands up. He, very, very ape-like. Sans the racial undertones. I listened to him and, he was yelling, and I really don't care about packaging. I know a lot of people do. That's also very Western. You shouldn't, if you are not being abused, if you're not being, if your character is not being attacked or you're not being insulted, and I don't care about how the packaging, I care about what is trying to be communicated to me. That's what's most important to me. And that is very non-Western. It is more important to me to understand what somebody is trying to say to me versus how this makes me feel. Because I don't have time for my feelings all the time. I'm just like, bitch, enough. Right? But in the moment, if somebody's that upset, right, and I'm not, why would I spend time working myself up about something that I don't have the full information on? If I have a problem, and I have a lot of problems, it's that I tend to get to the place before folks, and people do not like when you tell them how they feel. I don't know if you knew that. I learned that a lot of years ago, and I keep my mouth shut. Sometimes I'll have some breadcrumbs, leave them out there, and then you got to go. So my brother's just going on and on. And how his feelings were so important. And, and he knows this because of X, Y, Z. And I did use my brother as a little bit of a test rat in conversations over the years. And one of the things I had asked him was who does he look up to? Who are his favorite thinkers? And he listed it 5 to 7 people. And I said, did you notice that not one was a woman? And he was like, I'm going to go back to that in a second. Because that's really significant. And not because we need to care about feminism and we need to care about what women think. It stresses me out when we say that. And I'm going to tell you why. But to my brother, he was just goes off, and I asked him, this is your position. You believe that because you feel hurt, that Raina's, my sister, her feelings are less significant because she's not emoting them in the same way. And so we start talking some more, and it goes back to his worldview. You're acting like this because you're this. And, I had mentioned to him that he didn't, I said, I can only assume based on how you're yelling and how you're leaning forward that you know, your palms are probably sweating a bit. I can tell that your heart is racing based on how you're speaking to me, and your pupils are dilated. So I was like, so you're having a really somatic response, which tells me that like you're feeling under attack. And he's like, I am feeling under attack. And I asked him, how? And it was just by being questioned. It was just by the use of the word. And I said, Kareem, how can you be so committed to a worldview that is so fragile, like that it can't handle a question around unkindness, A, and B. So, he starts to defend it. And I said, are you happy? And he goes, that's a fucked up thing for you to ask me. And I said, I'm asking you sincerely, are you happy? You are saying that part of the reason why it's okay for you to say no when somebody is, has requested water and then being asked about it is like fucked up. And I know that this might not be making a lot of sense. And it's, when I say it's not making a lot of sense, I'm like his line of logic. And that's because there's not a line of logic. It is a set of what perspective. First of all, nobody has a cohesive set of body politic, right? Like it doesn't actually exist. It's fairly incoherent under the best circumstances, which is like, yes, I believe this, but then we have all these caveats, right? Like, I would like to think, and I believe philosophically in redemption and abolition. At the same time, I am like, put fucking R. Kelly under the fucking prison. Put Epstein under the fucking prison, right? So this is what I mean. We're full of political incoherence. Like, I enjoy sound bites and clips of Nick Fuentes. I have to still be incredibly mindful of how I participate in that. Because he this is the thing. For all that he says, black people are this, that, monkeys, stupid, whatever, right? I don't think he's actually explicitly said monkeys. That you can go to the Red Scare for that. But genuinely that black people have lower IQs. He also thinks Kanye West is a genius and would have no problem, assuming I do my due diligence, sitting across from me and having a conversation. That whether or not I even would be doing that is its own thing. But do you get what I'm saying? There's a natural level of political incoherence that we all have. But in the manosphere and in the internet in general, it's even more incoherent. It's a mishmash of Yarvinism, of white nationalism, of tech, the technocracy, a weird, which has, inflections of, Silicon Valley back in the day. It's infused with some libertarianism, with some misandry, with a random amalgamation of like one-liners from a philosopher that nobody could name or from several. It's just, there's an illogic to it. And, but once you get a sense of who they listen to, then you get a sense of what's going on, in that person's brain. And my general thing is like, it's the same thing with trans people, and the rights obsession or even men's obsession. It's the same thing. I'm like, when you are fulfilled, when you're doing work that means something to you, or when you feel a place in the world, you're not constantly, your mind is not wandering to petty grievances. You're not, and you're also not being petty. I have to remain, to the best of my ability, in a state of gratitude because I genuinely should not be alive. If I hadn't had as many people help me as I did, and I had it rough. A lot of people have it rough. I had it pretty rough for a really long time. And I could live in that space where I'm entitled and I'm frustrated and angry and I'm the most wronged person in a room. And for a little slice of life, that was true. And it sucked. It sucked. I didn't want to be that anymore because it made me alone. It made me alone. For the experiences of, in high school, and I'm homeless or I'm living in a women's shelter or a group home or whatever, like I really was, for the people I had access to, in a really extreme set of conditions. I don't know a lot of other people who have been like, whipped with extension cords or beaten with 2x4s or have had to like kneel on cheese graters or broomsticks when they were in trouble. At the same time, what I learned at 16, even though I would write the rule down later, because I had to make rules of engagement for myself, which was obviously to beware the narcissism of sorrow. You've heard me say this, pain makes an island of you. I don't doubt for a second that men are in pain. I know every woman is in some kind of pain. But there's this thing, okay, so Michael Porter Jr., I know, I'm like, what are you talking about? Now I'm talking about the NBA. Hold on, just hear me out, right? I think you're, you know, you see the threads, you see the movement happening. Last week, I wanted to do this like huge thing about, you know, how frustrated I was with the different pillars of like gender and the constant making of gender wars and all this bullshit, because we genuinely do not give a shit about women, and we only ever talk about how America doesn't care about young men, and it just bothers me. And then, you know, it's basketball season, I'm obsessed, but you know, Porter is out here, and you know, he's a streamer, he's got fairly right-wing views, he annoys me. He's a phenomenal player, but he's on the fucking Brooklyn Nets, like one of the worst teams. They're actually one of two, like in terms of the bottom ranked teams. I'm like, so somebody I guess had said something, and he was like, I could have beat the best WNBA players in the 8th grade. Like, I hate when people are making that comparison. And it's like, honestly, if you were on a winning team, you would not be saying that. like, cause you are unfucking happy. It comes down to that when you're obsessed with petty grievances or stupid things comparisons that do not make sense. Like, what drives me nuts, I mentioned my brother not naming a woman. That's most men, if not every man. That's like very predominant in the manosphere. In the rare event that there is a woman on a panel, she's usually there to be like, well, no, hold on. As a woman, like, it's always some bullshit. And the reason why so many men are unhappy is because I'm okay with the whole framing where, like, you know, men's brains work differently. I don't actually know if that's true in a scientific sense. Like, I don't know if that's the most important thing I want to say, because I do know in a biological sense, there is some small variances, but the socialization factor is huge, which is that men are taught to sever parts of themselves and, you know, whatever. But point is that they really pride themselves on logic. They believe themselves to be logical. They all see themselves as philosophers, which is so funny to me. And they're all unhappy. Like, the majority, and the men who are happy have what? Family, wives, partners, and see them as partners. See them as best friends. Have friends. Have a life. I want to remind you, this is part of my bit. I got to put the comedy out there. Don't worry, Corey's on me, right? That the Iliad was written around the same time as the Old Testament. The Old Testament was written in a wide window. So I want you to get me when I say this, okay? That means that when Leviticus was running his fucking mouth, talking about, man, she's not sleeping, da-da-da, and this, and nobody's eating shellfish. Niggas was out there in the world sailing on ships, getting pussy, falling in love, waging wars for pussy, and writing fucking epics and ballads and having a wide life. They were like, they had progeny, they had children, they were making art, they were writing literature, and here come Leviticus, the original 4chan bitch. Here come Deuteronomy. Like, can we just please be so serious? I could give you a quote and you wouldn't know if it, emasculation, you wouldn't know if it was Rogan or Deuteronomy. Like, the losers of yesterday are the free thinkers of today. I don't fucking buy it. Because ultimately, I don't see one happy person. The right has won everything in America. They're still not happy. They're still not happy because it's not about that. And for the record, I don't even think it's the pursuit of happiness that is the most paramount thing to life. But I do think it should be part of one's life. Don't you? And isn't it worth failing and trying and attempting? This is the thing ultimately that bothers me, is that I just think it's such a weak thing to blame. Like, you know, and I see it all the time. I see it now, especially with social media generations. And that's not because of them. It's because it's what we've conditioned them to do, and we have created isolation. We've bottomed out the economy. There's no opportunities. You know, like, you want to know why the fuck we're so miserable? You want to know why the fuck you're miserable? My little MAGA-loving manosphere man, you blame immigrants. You blame trans people, right? You blame black people. You blame everybody. Never the billionaires, right? You blame women. Never the billionaires. And never, ever, right? The fact that we literally have entrenched boomers that lowered the capital gains tax. And this made it so that their net worth compounded year after year. And then post-World War US, right, the leadership traded the domestic manufacturing industry for national security, right, by making the US dollar the default currency in the world. So it became the international trade currency. I had to actually write this down. So I said it exactly the way that I wanted to. This gave America the power to literally fucking run the world's financial economy, right? Which gave it unbelievable power through its financial banking system, which then what, right? Increased the value of the US dollar. That sounds good, right? But what did it do? It hollowed out the fucking manufacturing world in America. It bottomed out the working class. It made it impossible to manufacture anything here, right? So globalization then came at the expense of the working class. And then, you know, you got a healthy dose of fucking bigotry. But that's why. That's why. That's why you can't do what you used to do, which honestly was a little bit gangster. Fucked up, but gangster, which was have your wife and family and 2.5 children, and also have your other family that you liked more, that was secret, and your bastard kids. And you could afford it all on a mailman salary. That's why you don't have that anymore. But here's what I want to remind you. You weren't happy when you did. You weren't happy when you did, because a life devoid of partnership, real partnership, a life devoid of art, a life devoid of happiness and music and creating that. Because the truth is, that was the time where men were conditioned to believe that marriage was paramount to happiness, that 2.5 children was the best way to demonstrate your progress as a human being. That's what masculinity was forced into, that unnatural shape. That's why changing it was something nobody was fucking happy. So I don't even know what to like. It, you know, this ended up being a long-winded thing, but ultimately, from I guess, common sense, and I know they love saying that too, Jesus Christ. But I spend a lot of time on the manosphere, and I balance that out with a healthy dose of reading, but also making sure I'm paying attention. Like a woman who was literally forced to give birth outside of a hospital. Go check that out on ABC News. Like when I say we don't care about women, I heard on the BBC today, there was some guy who was like, you know, men need to care about women and see them as equal. I'm like, that's not a compelling argument. It should be, but it's not. It's literally that the circuitous, abstract thinking that the pseudo-philosophy encourages across the manosphere and in male-only spaces leads to a deep unhappiness because you cannot move forward. Do you want to know what helps you do that? Women. Not because they're working, oh yeah, that's right, to be a whole person. No, because women don't think in useless, circuitous ways. Women get shit done, right? When men are drunk, they call up everybody that has, you know, every woman that they know, and they just talk shit and do all this shit. Women get drunk, call up their exes, and also start a business, right? All they needed was 4.5 fucking apple martinis at Applebee's to get that shit done, right? Like, that's why. That's what feminism taught me, right? It was that I must do, I must act. And it's interesting because when I think of men, which I do a lot, I know it's unpopular to say, and maybe I shouldn't even have that caveat. I really enjoy men. I enjoy spending time with them. You already know how I feel, but I enjoy casual violence. I enjoy the sports talk. I enjoy the animated yelling. I know one queer that, is a she, her queer. And I love spending time with this person. And I'm looking forward to working with this person more because we fucking go at it when we're around each other to the point where we make people uncomfortable. But it's because, and we're going at it because she'll put a position and say it, and then I can work. We need positions to be able to work against. That's how, so when men assert things in a way that I think a lot of people find off-putting, it actually isn't a conclusion. The goal is engagement. It's just the delivery is shit a lot of the time. I bond with I bond the most. You want to know? Because I'm going to tell you actually why, where the philosophy works. Because it's really funny. If you ask the man, any man, I literally could be walking down the street and come across any man of any race. And I said, hey, let me hit you with this. There's a woman. And she has the best body you've ever seen. Everything you like hair, nails, whatever, right? Phenomenal body, gorgeous face, no nose at all. Would you sleep with her, right? You know what that man's going to say? Okay, so when you say no nose, right? Is it just an empty space? Is it empty? Like, can you see inside? Or is there something covering? Is it partial? They will. That's where that's fine. that's where that's fun. But it's so funny to me because even in Western logic, it's this idea that you are incomplete without this, but then it's this, but beneath you, right? And here's my thing: you not happy when bitches ain't working because you changed that shit, and you were like, you came home, you beat her and the kids. And you said, I do everything. You don't do shit. I'm tired of this. Bitches started to work and you also had problems with that. But then bitches make less money than you. So she's still not pulling equal weight. But if she's making more money than you, she's still a whore. You don't seem to know what the fuck you want, is my point. I spend so much time in the manosphere and it's so clear to me how easy it would be to resolve some of these woes. And then there's all this false logic, which again is the pseudo philosophy, which is just like comparing a very unlike thing to something else. It's silly. It's so silly. You're unhappy. That is real. That's what Western culture cultivates. Isolation and unhappiness. What bothers me is how willing people are, including women, to blame other people for their personal feelings of woe. Like, what? Huh? How does that make any fucking sense? And why is it so believable in America? You don't have no money in your bank account and you're blaming trans people for that, right? You don't have a relationship to your dad and you're blaming trans people for that. You can't get a job that is singular and pays your bills and allows you to save. You're working 8 jobs. You're blaming trans people for that. Never fucking billionaires. You tell women you didn't like it when they wasn't working because they weren't pulling their weight. All the reason was raising kids. You changed the laws. Women didn't change those laws. I thought you said that bitches were dumb. No, you changed those laws. It needed nigga buy-in. We needed men buy-in to do that. You changed the laws. Now you mad because they're doing? You said they weren't doing nothing. You don't value labor when it comes to childcare. So you made them work. Now they're working. And if they're not making enough money, they're still not pulling their own weight. But if they're making too much money, they're a fucking bitch. All I see now is young men, and this is what concerns me. They're not even using language anymore. They use terms like low IQ and looks maxing. I'm like, nigga, all you need is a personality. That's all women care about. To be honest, like, you can go cherry pick and find out. And, you know, there's always somebody saying some nonsense that could tell you otherwise. But no, that's all women want is personality from you. And if they are seeking other things, it's because they haven't gotten proof of concept in too long a time. It just bothers me because I just see it over and over and over and over again. We're all just being fucking played. Like, I can't be baited into making false equivalencies. I can't be baited into blaming other people. Like, I've been insulted before. You know how many people don't like me? Unbelievable. I know. I'm so adorable. No, people do not. A lot of people find me off-putting for their own reasons. I don't care. Why would I care about that? Do you know what I mean? Like, why? I'm not going to sit there and nurse my pain. The last thing I'll say, and then I guess we'll have to end on the Saudi Arabia shit, but, you know, if nursing your pain, because what I've discovered is that the men I know and a lot of the men that I observe, they have an almost romantic, like a sexual relationship to their pain. They get with women and they say, look at my pain, and then get really mad because then they don't feel seen over time. And it's just like, yeah, your pain is not your partner. That's why there's no room for anyone else. I don't know what else to say. If you feel as one of the greatest stars in the NBA, right? If you feel compelled to respond to debates about whether or not you could beat women in the 8th grade in the WNBA, you need to get traded to another team, nigga. I don't know what else to fucking tell you. You're not happy. Why do you care about that? That's not real. Oh, you know, we don't have mentors. The manosphere is apparently full of them. You know who doesn't have mentors? Nobody, nigga, nobody. We're all here desperately hoping somebody would just tell us what the fuck to do. It turns out that doesn't end as you get older. I really was hoping. But anyway, let me go back real quick to Saudi Arabia. And because it's like, okay, I'm not even going to bother playing the clip. You already know they had the crown prince in the White House. Trump was asked about, I don't know, things like human rights violations. Didn't give a shit. Dismissed it. But here's what I'm going to say, because this is what matters. It's not even simply the president has massive business dealings in and with Saudi Arabia. The only words that could be pulled up here is corruption. They've been making hundreds of billions of dollars in deals. Apparently, Saudi Arabia has even loaned America money. We have these like F-15 fighter jets. We'll just give them to Saudi Arabia. That's literally what's happening right now. Trump will personally gain billions of dollars, in investments from their relationship. But I want you to think about the comedy. I want you to think about boxing. You know, it's so funny because these are two areas I'm interested in. You want to know what really changes culture? Okay? When you put on the best fights in the world, when you put on entertainment and you focus on that, and then you have the president and everybody else, right? You're moving in a direction that is eroding American identity. And it's just so funny that I'm using this language because that's literally what's happening. But also, like, freedom, babe. I don't know what else to tell you. David Ellison, he's the CEO of Paramount. He's now partnering with Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Abu Dhabi himself to try to acquire Warner Bros. Right? Warner Bros. Yeah, the shit we watch in what? A $71 billion deal package. Like, even Grok knows this shit is bad. This is what Grok had to say. Like, what does this mean? Why is this bad? Or like, is this good? Or what is this risk? Grok said it risks ceding control of a key American cultural institution to foreign sovereign wealth funds with agendas tied to authoritarian regimes, potentially leading to content self-censorship on topics like Middle Eastern politics or human rights to secure funding. Warner Bros. Shapes global narratives via films and DC properties, prioritizing Gulf investors' interests could dilute creative independence and US-centric storytelling. While market competition exists, and it really doesn't, this scale of influence warrants scrutiny for long-term media sovereignty. It also gets around antitrust laws, which, of course, every billionaire wants, and everyone, all these old white men looking for golden parachutes want to destroy. You're obsessed with trans people, and you're watching the United States of America turn to the United States of Arabia. Sad. 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 And also, these billionaire piggies can get richer. Okay, cool. Cool. We got Nicki Minaj presenting at the UN on behalf of the Trump administration. Like, all the crazies are getting together. I am so scared of the barbs. Listening to somebody who used to run on stage with a dildo and yell Roman, by the way, so queer. Loved it. Just talk about human rights violations is just wild to me. But I'm not anti that. It's just that she got weird. Her politics are fucking weird. She's weird. And this whole thing is like, I just feel like we're just a country of lol cows now. We're just a country of lol cows. So is the way forward for me to fight for American identity? Am I going to be the protector of American identity now, you guys? I'm basically Jesus. What can I say? Who knew? Who saw that one coming? There's a larger conversation to be had because I mentioned the anti-Semitism thing. It's really frustrating. I also think there's something around the framing that was brought up. So what we'll do is I'll just cover that, I think, if it stays compelling, next week. So Sarah Hurwitz is a former Obama speechwriter, but just has an insane take on anti-Semitism in Israel and makes a comparison to racism. And it's just so interesting to me, like the mental gymnastics and cognitive dissonance. You get in bed with Nazis, and then you operate like Nazis, and then you worry about anti-Semitism. Which creating conditions, and then you censor anybody. Like, what? But I'm going to save that shit for next week. I think it's going to be pretty fucking good. I hope you appreciated my weird rant, but honestly, so much of what's happening in America comes down to belief systems. And I hate saying that. And the way to think about it is this, like, remember we talked about bias, and I'll end here, but we said bias, right? Bias, prejudice, discrimination, and racism. And how that works is really simple. Bias is what's inside of you, right? What you believe and think. And remember that bias, people always think it's a one-way street. Bias is a two-way street, right? Bias is, I don't like this person and I don't want this person around me, right? That's the way we tend to think how it operates. But actually, its more operative lens is, or side is, I like this guy. He reminds me of myself. He looks like me. I want to give him a chance. I want to help him out, right? It usually, which is why, and that's how people can insulate themselves. And I'm a decent person. I'm a good person. So there's bias. What is prejudice then? Prejudice is when the things that are inside your brain, then you start to communicate those things, right? You start to say those things out loud, and you might shape your groups and your writing, etc. on that. Discrimination is when it becomes a form of institutionalization. So that's when we decide that Black people can't join country clubs, right? That's when we decide that women can't vote. That's when a precedent that applies to one group of people does not apply to others simply because of an identity marker, right? So that's discrimination. It becomes institutionalized in a way. Racism is the it's when we say institutionalized racism, that's essentially what they're talking about. That's the thing that informs all of these things. But it's a belief system is what, and so when they're talking about Western philosophy, again, it's like a pseudo philosophy. It used to actually be much more cohesive, but even then, the core tenets that white thinkers and white people pride themselves most on aren't even American or from the West, like in the way that we think of it now, right? Like freedom. We got the loser British, the losers who couldn't make it there because of the monarchy, because of entrenched systems, but still had some means, not the super poor, scurvy having ones, the other ones. And they came here and they became merchants, whatever. But I want to be really crystal clear about something. They came from the country of fucking filthy backwater zealots for the most part, right? If you weren't living in the monarchy, living it up lavishly, you were fucking dirt poor and fucking dirty. Your children, you had 15 of them because 12 fucking died from diseases and dysentery and like, honestly, shit like tuberculosis. Like shit that don't even kill people in the West now. They were backwater religious zealots. You think they came here and suddenly believed in fucking freedom? No, they stole that from indigenous people, dummy. Go ahead and read The Dawn of Everything. Get educated. Jesus Christ. You think freedom was coming from a monarchy, the concept of it? And you think that people who were living in England came here for freedom? No, they came here because they're like, I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to make anything here. It's the systems are too entrenched. I stand a better chance of starting a new life somewhere else. Yeah, economy. But even still, philosophically, there was nothing at all. They were, and the wealthy, they weren't just, they were stuffy. You see how pioneers were dressing? That looked free to you? Meanwhile, men was running around here, indigenous men, like fucking men. Balls out, hot, hunting, gathering, writing, creating art, fucking. Understood to lead from the back. A lot of matriarchal societies and understanding of planet. Remember when, was it Franklin? I believe it was Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, the president, was like, oh God, we got to stop sending our people there. We got to stop sending our people to indigenous societies because they keep not coming back. They love it too much. I remember when indigenous people, like literally, upon seeing how Western cultures were organized, they were like, why are people homeless? Like they genuinely could not wrap their mind around that could happen. And this is like early fucking America. This is before America was the America that it's understood to be. This is before chattel slavery. They were disgusted, appalled, and confused. So yeah, it's incoherent. It's large. Like if you're thinking about Western philosophy, you should go Greek, where niggas was butt fucking, had awesome fucking mythologies that were also like religions. I'm okay if like wars and shit. I get that. That shit's normal. You think tribes and shit weren't fighting over here? No, but there was a greater understanding and practice, and actually, at the very least, a cohesive philosophy. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so embarrassed at how, like, the people who say that they're champions of it are the cancer that's breaking it down. Like, you don't even read. I don't know. Whatever. This is what happens when I get to think too much. I can't believe I got that question. That, you know, it's going to haunt me forever, that it was deflated, which is so obvious. And I said glossy. Like, what am I missing? It's got to be a nutrient. Maybe I have scurvy. Anyway, you know, yes, Corey and we're yapping about plans. We're really going to get super explosive, come January. But right now, we are taking those steps because you are going to see some big fights, big debates, good spectacle, good education, and most importantly, a good ass time. So I'm going to get us through the end of this year because this is garbage. This is garbage. This shit is ghetto, what we're living through right now. Anyway, I love you all very much. I hope you enjoyed something in this. This was wild. I'm going to get off of this and be like, I think I just ruined that episode. That's what Corey has to hear me say that all the time. I'm like, what was I talking about? I was crazy, but you know what? Fuck it. Aren't we all? God damn it. I love you all very much. Look at him. I gotta go. I love you all so much. You were the best. I blame the test. I am so haunted by that one thing. Thank you, Corey, for helping do that test with us. And I think you definitely you saved me from another wrong answer, I'm sure. So I'm positive. Yeah. Thank you all for listening. And I can't wait until the next episode of Dark Woke.